I am Reed. I am 27, just an average dude. I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. Let me paint you a picture of who I was at 20 years old. I was working a decent job making okay money, but somehow I was always broke. Like checking my bank account before buying a sandwich and praying it would clear broke. I had credit card debt piling up because I thought I needed to keep up with everyone around me. I was buying drinks at the bar every weekend, ordering food delivery 3 times a week, and telling myself I deserved it because I worked hard. The problem was I was working hard, but my money was working against me. I had no savings, no investments, no plan, nothing. I was just existing and hoping things would somehow get better. The wake-up call hit me when I was about 22. My car broke down, nothing crazy, just a few $100s in repairs, but I literally could not afford to fix it. I had to borrow money from my parents, and the shame I felt in that moment was brutal. I remember sitting in my apartment after that conversation, just staring at the wall thinking this cannot be my life forever. Something had to change. That was the moment I decided to actually learn about money. Not like, oh, I should save more type stuff, but real actual learning. I started reading books about people who built wealth from nothing. I watched hours of YouTube videos about investing. I asked older people in my life who seemed financially stable what they did differently. And the more I learned, the more I realized. The system is actually pretty simple. Nobody taught us this stuff in school, and that is by design. They want you to stay broke and keep spending. They want you to be a good little consumer who works for 40 years and retires on a pension that barely covers your bills. But I was done with that life. So here's what I did, and I want you to pay close attention because this is the blueprint that took me from broke and stressed to financially free at 27. First thing I did was get real about my spending. I mean, brutally real. I sat down and listed every single dollar I spent for an entire month, and let me tell you, it was ugly. I was wasting so much money on stuff I did not even care about. Coffee runs convenience store snacks, streaming services I forgot about. Uber eats 5 times a week. The average person spends like $1,500 a year on takeout coffee alone. That is money that could be invested in growing instead of just turning into literal waste. So I cut the fat. I started cooking at home. I stopped buying new clothes every month. I found free ways to have fun with my friends instead of dropping $60 at a bar every Friday night. Here's the thing nobody tells you about budgeting. It is not about deprivation. It is about alignment. You are not saying no to stuff forever. You are just choosing to put your money toward things that actually matter long term. Instead of instant gratification, that shift in mindset changed everything. Second thing I did was pay off my debt. I attacked it like my life depended on it because honestly, it kind of did. I was paying so much in interest every month just to keep those credit cards alive. I sold stuff I did not need. I picked up extra shifts. I said no to plans that cost money. It sucked for a while, but every time I made a payment, I felt lighter. When I finally made that last payment and saw a zero balance, I literally cried. Not even exaggerating, the weight that came off my shoulders was insane. Once the debt was gone, I built an emergency fund. This is the boring part that nobody wants to talk about, but it is the foundation everything else sits on. I saved up 3 months of basic living expenses in a separate account that I never touched. Just knowing that money was there gave me so much peace. It meant that if something went wrong, I did not have to panic or go back into debt. I could handle it. Now, here is where the fun started. I began investing, and I do not mean gambling on crypto or trying to get rich quick with options trading. I mean real boring, consistent investing in things that actually grow over time. I opened a Roth IRA. I started putting money into index funds that track the entire stock market. I set up automatic transfers so the money left my checking account before I even had a chance to spend it. Let me break down the math for you because this is the part that blew my mind when I first learned it. If you invest $300 every single month starting at age 25 and you get an average return of 8%, which is pretty standard for the stock market over long periods of time, by the time you are 65, you will have over $900,000. That is almost $1 million just from putting away $300 a month. But if you wait until you are 35 to start, that same $300 a month only grows to about $400,000. Waiting 10 years costs you $500,000. That is the power of time. Most people do not realize that time is the single biggest factor in building wealth. Not how much money you make, not how smart you are, not how lucky you get with a stock pick time. The earlier you start, the more your money works for you. Compound interest is literally the most powerful force in the universe, and you get to harness it just by being consistent. I remember when I first started investing, I was so nervous I would check my account every single day and freak out whenever the market dipped. That is normal, you will feel that way too, but here is what I learned the hard way. The stock market goes up and down in the short term, but over the long term it has always gone up. Not once in history has the market crashed and never recovered, it always comes back higher. So if you are investing for decades, why do you care what happens next month or next year? You should actually hope the market goes down when you are young because that means you get to buy more shares at a discount. Think about it like a grocery store sale. If everything was 30% off, you would load up your cart, right? That is exactly what a market crash is for investors. I have been through multiple downturns now. 2020, when COVID hit, was insane. I watched my portfolio drop by like 30% in a single month. I lost $15,000 on paper just like that. And my first instinct was to sell everything and hide my money under my mattress. But I had learned enough by then to know that panic selling is the worst thing you can do. So instead, I did the opposite. I moved back in with my parents, cut every expense I could, and poured every extra dollar I had into the market while prices were low. And when the market rebounded, which it always does, my portfolio exploded in value. That one decision probably made me more money than years of regular investing combined. That is what people do not get. Wealth is not built by buying high and selling low. It is built by staying disciplined when everyone around you is losing their minds. You have to be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. That cliche exists for a reason. Now let me talk about lifestyle, because this is where most people screw up. As I started making more money, I felt this pressure to upgrade my life. Get a nicer car, move to a fancier apartment, buy nicer clothes. Society tells you that when you earn more, you should spend more. But that is exactly how people stay broke forever. The moment you increase your lifestyle to match your income, you lock yourself into a lifetime of needing to earn that amount just to survive. I call this the lifestyle creep trap. You get a raise and suddenly you deserve a luxury apartment, you get a bonus and you deserve a new BMW, but the rich people who actually stay rich do not do that. They keep living like they are broke, even when they have millions in the bank. I know guys worth $10 million who drive 15-year-old Toyotas and wear plain t-shirts from Target. They look like regular people because they are regular people who just happen to figure out the money game. The biggest flex is not owning a fancy car or wearing expensive watches. The biggest flex is having the freedom to walk away from any situation you do not want to be in. That is what financial independence buys you. It buys you the ability to say no to a job you hate. It buys you the ability to take a risk on a business idea. It buys you the ability to spend time with the people you love instead of grinding for a paycheck. I want you to think about what actually makes you happy. Is it driving a flashy car that costs you $1,200 a month in payments and insurance and gas? Or is it knowing that you have enough money saved that you could quit your job tomorrow and be fine for a year? For me, the answer was obvious. I chose freedom over stuff, and it was the best decision I ever made. Let me also talk about side hustles, because I know a lot of you are wondering how to make more money to invest. I started a small online business selling digital products. Nothing crazy, just templates and guides for things I was already good at. It did not make me a millionaire overnight, but it brought in an extra $500 to $1,000 a month consistently. And every single dollar from that side hustle went straight into my investment accounts. That extra income accelerated my timeline by years. The key is to find something that leverages your existing skills. If you are good at writing, offer to write resumes for people. If you are good at graphic design, pick up freelance clients on Upwork. If you know a lot about a specific topic, create a course or a digital download. There are so many ways to make extra money in 2024, and you do not need a huge following or a fancy degree to do it. Just start small and reinvest everything you earn. I also want to address the elephant in the room, which is luck. I know I got lucky in some ways. I was born in a country with opportunity. The market had a massive bull run during my investing years. I had supportive parents who let me move back home during the pandemic. Not everyone has those advantages, and I am not pretending otherwise. But here is what I will say. Luck only matters if you are in position to take advantage of it. If I had not been saving and investing consistently, I would not have had money to deploy when the market crashed. If I had not been building my side hustle, I would not have had extra income to accelerate my timeline. You create your own luck by being prepared and showing up every single day. So where are you supposed to start? If you are watching this and feeling overwhelmed, I get it. There is a lot of information out there, and it is easy to get paralyzed. But here's my advice. Start with one thing. Just one, open a high-yield savings account and put $50 in it. Or download a budgeting app and track your spending for a week. Or cancel one subscription you do not use and put that money into an investment account. The specific action does not matter as much as the act of starting. I cannot tell you how many people I have talked to who say they will start investing when they have more money, but that day never comes. There is always an excuse. The car needs repairs, the rent went up, the wedding is coming, you have to get engaged with an animal. Whatever it is, there will always be a reason not to start. But your future self is counting on you to ignore those excuses and just begin. Let me tell you about my friend Mike. Mike is a carpenter. He makes like 50 grand a year, which is not a ton of money in this economy. But Mike started investing $200 a month when he was 22. He is 35 now, and his portfolio is worth over $100,000. That is not life-changing money, but it is a hell of a lot more than his buddies who spent that same $200 on beer and video games every month. Mike is not special. He is not a financial genius. He just showed up consistently for 13 years. That is the secret. There is no secret. You just have to be boring and consistent and patient over a long period of time. The people who get rich quick usually lose it just as fast. The people who build wealth slowly usually keep it forever. I am now 27, and I have reached a point where my investments pay me about $600 a month in dividends. That is money I get for doing absolutely nothing other than owning shares of good companies. $600 covers my groceries and my phone bill and my internet. It is not enough to live on completely, but it is a start, and it grows every year as I add more money and reinvest those dividends. My goal is to get that number to $3,000 a month within the next 10 years. At that point, I can basically basically live anywhere in the world on a modest lifestyle and never have to work a job I do not want. That is the dream. Not a Lamborghini, not a mansion, not a Rolex, just the freedom to wake up every day and decide how I spend my time. I want that for you too. I believe any normal person can achieve financial independence if they start young enough, stay disciplined, and avoid the traps that keep everyone else broke. It is not easy. It requires sacrifice and patience and a willingness to be different from the people around you. But I promise it is worth it. Here's my final challenge to you. Go open an investment account today, even if you only put 20 bucks in it. Even if you have no idea what you are doing, just take the first step, because the person you will be in 10 years is counting on the person you are right now to make the right decision. Peace.